The last customary unit of measure that we're going to talk about for length is miles. And we probably hear the word miles a lot when we see speed limits. It's how fast that we measure our cars go in miles, and how far one town or one store maybe from another one. We might say, well, how many miles away is it? Miles is the largest unit of length that we use in the customary system. We can measure miles in yards. 1 mile is 1,760 yards. 1 mile is 1,760 yards. A little nicer. Okay, so that's if we measure it in yards. We can also measure miles in feet. 1 mile is equal to 5,280 feet. We're going to be using some big numbers today. So if you want to use a calculator for changing things from miles to feet and feet to yard, or feet to miles and yards to miles, absolutely, you may use a calculator for some of these problems. Okay, if you don't have a calculator at home, you can also use Google as a calculator. If you type it in your search, you can find the answer as well. All right, so let's take a look at some mile problems. So if 1 mile is 1,760 yards, well, how long is 2 miles? 2 miles is equal to how many yards? 2 miles is equal to how many yards? So again, I'm going to look at my miles and my yards. I know how many miles I have, and miles are larger than yards are, much bigger than yards. So I'm going to be moving from a larger unit to a smaller unit, so I'm going to multiply. What am I going to multiply by? Well, 1 mile is 1,760 yards. So I'm going to be multiplying by 1,760. So my problem here would be 2 times 1,760. So you can go ahead and put that in your calculator. Remember, we don't put commas in our calculator. We just put the numbers and find out what that would be. Did you get 3,500? Oh my goodness. 3,520? That's right. So 2 times 1,760 is 3,520. As you notice, it's almost double. It is double of what we had for 1 mile. 1 mile is 1,760. If I have 2 of them, I'm going to double it to 3,520. What if I had another amount? What if I had 5 miles? 5 miles is how many yards? 5 miles is equal to how many yards? So I'm dealing with yards and miles. Okay, I know how many miles we have. Miles are larger than yards. So I'm going to go from my larger unit, and I'm going to change it to a smaller unit. So I'm going to multiply. 5 times, I'm going to use the yards number, not the feet number. I'm going to use the yards number because I'm changing it to yards. 5 times 1,760. And I would get 8,800. 8,800 yards are in 5 miles. Whoops, can't see it. 8,800 yards are in 5 miles. What if I needed to figure out feet? I'm going to use the same process. So if I said 4 miles is equal to how many feet? Let's see. I'm moving from miles to feet. Miles are larger than feet. So whenever we move from a larger unit to a smaller unit, we're going to multiply. So I'm going to multiply 4 times what? Not 1,760. That's how many yards are in a mile. I need to multiply by 5,280 because that's how many feet are in a mile. So when I have feet, I'm going to use the amount of feet in a mile. When I'm looking for yards, I will multiply by how many yards are in a mile. So I have to do 4 times 5,280. So we're going to do that. 4 times 5,280. And we're going to get 21,120 feet are in 4 miles. All right. So again, when we're going from a larger unit to a smaller unit, we're going to multiply. What if I was given, I erased this by accident, sorry. What if I had the yards and I needed to change it to miles? What if I said I had 12,320 yards? How many miles will that be? Okay, 12,320 yards. How many miles? So I know how many yards I have. I'm looking for the miles. Yards are smaller than miles. So I'm going to be moving from a smaller unit to a larger unit. When I move from a smaller unit to a larger unit, I'm going to divide. So I'm going to divide 12,320 divided by, I'm using yards, so I need to use the number of yards in a mile, divided by 1,760. So again, we want to use our calculators for this problem. All right, so you're going to do 12,320 divided by 1,760, and you will get 7 miles. 7 miles. So 12,320 yards is equal to 7 miles. All right, so on today's work, you're going to be, remember to look to decide if you're moving from a larger unit to a smaller unit. Every time you're doing that, you're going to multiply. If you're moving from a smaller unit to a larger unit, you're going to divide. And you will look at your conversion chart to determine what number you're going to multiply or divide by. Okay, the numbers in your chart tell you what number you're going to multiply or divide by. Whether you're moving from larger to smaller, you multiply, and when you move from smaller to larger, you divide.